For lesson 12H, you're finding the surface area of prisms. And I'm just altering the textbook and worksheets for your assignment on this one, just because I want you to get in the habit of understanding what surface area is, instead of relying on the formulas, which is really the approach that the books takes. So what I mean by that is when you're finding the surface area, you're really finding the area of all of the faces on a prism. And so in the case of number 1 on your lesson 8 homework, it's a rectangular prism, and you might think of that as a shirt box or a shoe box or anything that's shaped as a box. Rectangular prisms have 6 sides. And so on number 1, what I did is I drew 6 lines and I wrote down the areas of each one of those sides. So for example, I took 60 times 5, which is this side right here. 60 times 5 is 300, and this one right here is also 60 by 5, which is 300. Okay, I also took 24 times 5, which is 120, and 24 times 5, which is 120. Lastly, I took 60 by 24 for the bottom and the top of the box, and that's where I got 1440. And so when I add all of those up, I get 3,720 square centimeters. So your homework on lesson 8, homework practice, is to do 1 through 11, the odds. I've just done number 1 for you. Now I'm going to do number 3. Number 3 is a triangular prism. So unlike a rectangular prism, a triangular prism only has 5 sides. So we have this triangle up top and the triangle on the bottom, that's 2, and then 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what I did is I started by drawing 5 lines because I have to find 5 areas. Well, first of all, if I look at the triangle, that is 11 right here, 11 by 15. And to find the area of a triangle, you take base times height divided by 2. So 11 times 15 divided by 2 is 82.5. So there's the triangle on the top, there's the triangle on the bottom. Next, I have some rectangles. So I have this one up front here that's 18.6 times 12. 18.6 times 12 is equal to 223.2. So that is the square in the front. On this back side here, I have this rectangle, and this rectangle is 11 by 12. 11 times 12 is 132. And then lastly, I have this rectangle on the side, which is 15 by 12, and 15 times 12 is 180. I know you're going to probably struggle with this if you're like me and you have a hard time seeing 3 dimensions on a 2-dimension piece of paper, but I really want you to practice this skill of seeing how many sides there are, writing out the number of blanks, and filling in those blanks with the areas of each side. When you add up all of those areas of the faces on number 3, you get 700.2 square millimeters. Hopefully that's enough to get you started on lesson 8 homework practice. Please do the rest 5 through 11, the odds. I'm also going to walk through 2 problems on your problem solving sheet. Remember that in order to get an A on your problem solving sheet, you need to do all of the problems, 5 problems to get an A, or 6 problems for an A+. I've worked out 2 of those problems for you right on this video. So notice on number 4, the Ramirez family only wants to put vinyl on the siding of the shed, and they just want to cover the 4 walls. So we're not going to worry about this top portion, and we're just going to worry about 1, 2 sides that you can see. But of course we have another side on the left and we have a side on the back. So there's actually 4 sides that we're going to cover. The 80 came from this part right here, the front of the shed. 10 times 8. If this is 8 back here, then this is also 8 up front. So 10 times 8 is 80. And we have a front of the shed and we have a back of the shed, so that's why I wrote it twice. We also have this side of the shed here that's 15 by 8. Okay, so 15 times 8 is this side of the shed. 15 times 8 is 120. And then on the other side of this shed that we can't see, that's also 120. When I add all of that together, I get 400. But I do need to take away that door right here. The door is 7 by 3, which is 21. So 400 take away 21 is 379. Now it doesn't ask for how much siding. It says that the siding costs $3 a square foot. So what I need to do is take that 379 and multiply it by 3 to get the cost of siding the shed, which is $1,137. So that's number 4. Please don't just write down the answer. Show those lines and the areas and show your work so you can see how you got the answer. Number 5, I had to do a couple of different times, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with the answer, but I see where they got it. Lena built a house out of cardboard, and she paints each part separately before gluing them together. When I first did this part, I was not calculating this part on the bottom of the triangular prism because I thought that it would be closed and it wouldn't be visible. I also didn't calculate the top and bottom of the rectangular prism. So what I did then is I redid the problem showing that the rectangular prism has 5 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means that she painted all 5 sides. And then on the rectangular prism that it sits on, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Even though some of those sides are going to be covered up when she glues them together, I just found each area separately. So I kind of mark this here, 1 and 2. That's the rectangle on the side of the roof here. That rectangle is 20 by 15, and you might wonder where I got that. Well, here's the 20. That means that this part is 20, and then this slant right here is 15. So I took 20 times 15 and got 300 for the 2 sides. Then I got 108 for the front triangle and the back triangle. So this portion right here. The triangle is 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 of the base, you might be thinking, where's the base? Well, here's 18. If this is 18, then the base is also 18. So 1/2 of 18 times 12 gives you 108. That's for the front triangle and the back triangle. And then the 360, where did that come from? Well, that is the rectangle that it's sitting on. So it's 18 by 20. 18 times 20 is 360. Now coming down to the rectangular prism, I have a front and the back. The front and the back are right here. That's 18 by 16. 18 times 16, and that is 288. That's for the front and the back. I also have the side panels here, which are 20 and 16. So 20 times 16 is 320. And I wrote that twice because there's a left and a right. And then finally, the bottom and the top of the prism. You can't see those, but there is a bottom and the top. So 18 times 20 is 360 and 360. So when I added all of those together, I got 3,112 inches squared. Okay, and it's not asking for the total area, it's actually asking for how much paint is needed. So 1 ounce covers 400 square inches, so I took that 3112 divided by 400 and got 7.78, which is about 8 ounces of paint. Again, please don't just write down the 8 ounces. Show those steps and pause the video to write them down as you are filling those in so that you can refer back to them. Continue to do the problems on this worksheet to get your desired grade. You already have 2 done, so 1 more would get you a C, 2 more would get you a B, 3 more would get you an A, and then finishing the other 4 would get you an A+. Finally, on the enrichment worksheet, I debated on whether or not to give you another worksheet for this one, but I found that Euler's formula is just kind of a nice little enrichment idea when it's coming to some of these formulas we've been working with this chapter. So read a little bit about Leonhard Euler and his formula, And it's just like any other formula that we've learned this chapter. You write the formula down, you substitute in what you know, and then you solve for the unknown. So for number 1, if V is 4 and E is 6, you just write the formula, plug in the numbers that you know. 2 is a constant in the formula, and then you solve for the number of faces. In this case, a tetrahedron has 4 faces. And if you're really good at visualizing three-dimensional shapes on 2D paper, then you might have been able to find that out without doing Euler's formula. But we have 1 side here, 2 side here, 3 in the back, and then 4 here. So there's 4 faces. Okay, same with number 12. Number 2, you might be able to visualize that there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 5, 6, 7, and 8. But again, if that's a struggle for you like it is for me, you might need to rely on a formula for Euler's formula and substitute in what you do know. In this case, we know there are 6 vertices and 12 edges. When we plug that all in, we get 8 faces. Go ahead and try numbers 3 and 4 and 5 through 9 on this enrichment worksheet. If you get stuck, just request a Google Hangout or shoot me an email.